Hey there! If you clicked on this video, you may have a hunch, an inkling, a paranoid delusion, hopefully, that you are about to be let go, booted out, canned, fired. You are the weakest link goodbye from your job. And I so know the feeling. It's like you feel this strange shift in energy at work and you can't quite put your finger on what it is. Then the terrible thought comes into your mind that you may be the next to walk the proverbial plank into the sea of unemployment. Well, I am here to help you suss out the situation. Okay, that's enough with the sayings. So that you can know the signs leading up to your possible termination. Also, if you stay until the end, I'm going to be giving you some career tips that will make it harder for your job to get rid of you in the future. So stick around for that. All right, so the first sign that you could possibly be getting terminated in the future is if your boss puts you on a performance improvement plan, PIP for short, okay? Sometimes PIPs are genuinely trying to help you improve your performance. Maybe you made a mistake at your job. Maybe they see that you are lacking in some areas. Maybe you've pulled back in some areas and they just kind of want to see you progress. And so they put you on this PIP to truly help you progress, okay? That's a good thing, all right? And usually PIPs last about a month. So you have that full month to prove yourself, to really kind of save your job and to show your boss that, hey, you can improve. You had a, maybe a short-term sort of lapse and doing really well in your job. And maybe you just need this month to prove to your boss that you can do it. Usually, no big deal. Then if you do well and you improve on your performance, then they take you off the performance improvement plan and you're good to go. Sometimes though, bosses put you on a PIP in order to protect themselves legally, from liability. If you live in a state where there is not a at-will employment, basically meaning that they can just get rid of you at any time without having any sort of explanation for it, then sometimes bosses will put you on a PIP to sort of cover their own tracks, to say, hey, I tried to get them to do better, but according to my own judgment, they're not doing well, so I'm gonna let them go. It could just kind of be something like that. So if you get put on a PIP, I don't want you to assume the worst, the worst outcome, because you never want to live a life like that. However, just to kind of cover your own tracks and to make sure that you look out for yourself, I would just be thinking in the back of my mind that this could possibly end in termination, which it really could. That's the whole purpose of a PIP. So get your ducks in a row, get your stuff in order, just in case after that month, usually it lasts a month, that you have something lined up just in case they let you go. The second sign that you might be possibly getting terminated soon is if they start giving your work to your coworkers, or if they hire somebody else, somebody new, to start doing some of your work. This is kind of like an obvious one. If your coworkers typically don't do what you do and they're suddenly dishing out your work to other people, unless you complain about your workload and said, hey, I'm overworked, I have too much going on, too much on my plate, can you, help me out and give some of this to other people? Unless you said that, if you didn't and they're giving your work out to other people, that could be a sign that they're considering letting you go soon. The third sign that you could possibly be getting terminated from your job is if your boss doesn't communicate with you as often as they used to, okay? If your boss used to communicate with you often about job functions, job duties, different things going on in the company, different things going on in the department, if you're being left out of meetings, if you're being left out of important decisions that you used to have, a say in, this is a pretty good sign that you could be possibly getting let go. Sometimes bosses, if they know that you're going to be eventually let go, they just sort of pull back with communicating with you. Maybe because it's just sort of like a guilt feeling that they already have, that they know that they're going to be getting rid of you soon, and they just don't want to, they kind of want to like emotionally disconnect from the relationship, It's sort of like a human nature type of thing. I've experienced this. You can kind of like tell when somebody doesn't talk to you as much, when things change, and maybe your boss, maybe you're used to meeting with your boss every day, maybe every week, and they're like canceling meetings with you. They're not really connecting with you as often, and it just sort of seems like there's a disconnect there, and you're kind of wondering to yourself, like, did I do something? Did something happen? This could be a sign that, maybe they're looking at other prospects, maybe something's changed in your job and they don't really want to tell you just yet. There's all sorts of reasons for this. Again, don't be paranoid about it, but this is just one of the signs that you could be possibly getting terminated soon. The fourth sign that you could be possibly getting terminated soon is if your supervisor isn't giving you as much work, Or is it if you just don't have as much work to do? If you work at a job where you have tasks that are listed in a queue type of thing, and then you have a supervisor that sort of gives out tasks, daily tasks to their team, and you aren't getting those tasks or as many tasks as you used to be getting, this could be a sign. It might not be particularly, personal for you. Like, it might not just be you that's not getting as much work. It could be across the board. And this could be a sign that maybe there's not as much work to do. And if that's the case, then there could be layoffs in the future. This is just one of the signs. A lot of the times these companies don't communicate with their employees things that are happening in the background, business-wise. I remember I got let go of a job years ago. I got laid off, and everybody got laid off because the company was getting bought out by a competitor. I worked for a mortgage company, and I had the type of job where, this is right when I graduated from college, I had the type of job where I had work to do, just like I worked in loss mitigation, and so I had these contracts that I had to look over and get documents and prepare documents for and things like that. And we had this system where all of my tasks, my daily tasks, were in a queue. And my supervisor was responsible for kind of allotting those tasks across, my team. And so it would be kind of like, at first I had a ton of work to do, but then it started, dwindling a little bit. And we heard through the grapevine that they were possibly going to be letting a lot of people go because in negotiations to sell the company, and the competitor was not going to take the company's employees on to the next to the switch. So we were all going to be laid off. That was just a rumor though. And so they didn't really communicate that until it was a done deal. And this was months later. And it was kind of like they waited until the very last minute, like 3 days before they were going to be laying people off, to tell us that, hey, by the way, we sold the company and everyone's going to be let go on Friday of this week. So sorry, and this is something that companies do all the time. So just like peep the signs, be aware of what's happening, be aware of the changes in your work environment and your job function, and then how much work you're given, and just sort of like, tell the signs. If there are talks and rumors about layoffs, then a lot of the times those rumors come from something. There's a reason why people are talking about that. And a lot of the times it's true. So as soon as you hear someone talking about layoffs, as soon as you see that your job duties are really dwindling and it's almost like you don't have as much to do during the day, that's a sign that you should probably start looking for another job. And so the fifth sign that you might be getting terminated soon is, if it kind of goes along with the fourth sign, is if your company's going through layoffs. That's pretty obvious. I mean, your company's going through layoffs and you see some sort of shift in your work, then you can probably assume that you're going to be one of the ones getting laid off soon. So just get your resume updated and start looking for something else. All right, so the sixth sign that you are possibly going to be laid off or fired or terminated in the near future is if your boss suddenly asks you to show them or another coworker how to do something that you particularly are the only person who knows how to do said thing, okay? I've had this experience and it felt like I was betrayed, okay? Because what happened was there was this certain thing that I only knew how to do. So my boss had to provide this report, okay, to another platform, and I was the only one who knew how to add information. I was basically adding social security numbers to this report, okay, from another report that I would have to pull from this other system. And I know how to work with Excel pretty well, and so there was a formula that I knew had to add those social security numbers to this report. And it was kind of a difficult thing if you don't really know how to work Excel. And she didn't know how to do that, so she would always ask me to do it. In retrospect, I'm pretty much sure that she probably thought it would be a lot of manual work, like me literally going one by one employee by each employee, and adding, just typing in their social security number one by one, and it would be like hundreds of employees on this list. But no, I knew how to input it through another report, and it would be I'm just using an Excel formula, and it would just copy all the way down, and I could literally turn this report in like 2 minutes. And so I think she realized that, that I'm able to do this quite quickly, and she assumed I would be able to turn it in so quick. So, but she didn't know how to do it herself, and it was a report that she was responsible for providing. It wasn't a part of my job functions. I was just kind of like assisting her, helping her with this report. And so this went on for several months. when all of a sudden one day she approached me to teach her how to do this. Basically, she's saying like, show me how you put social security numbers on this report. And immediately, because I'm so used to being screwed over by jobs, by corporate America, I knew what this was all about. I was like, why would she need me to show her how to do this when she could just simply give it to me like she's always been doing for the past several months? I've, like, it's no big deal. I'm here to do it. So why would she want me to show her how I do it? Like basically the secret sauce. So I knew it immediately. But anyway, we had that meeting and I showed her how to, because I had no choice. I had to show her. So I was like, I basically do this and this and this, and boom, there you go. And she's like, oh yeah, wow, thanks. She's like, I just wanted to know how to do this because, I figured every single time I tried to do it myself, I always screwed something up. I always messed up and it would take me so long to do it. And I was thinking, well, I might as well learn how to do it. And that way I don't, I could just do it myself, And she just kind of made it seem like it was no big deal. And she just wanted to learn something new. Well, the next day I got a meeting invite to meet with her and the director of our department. And I knew immediately what that was all about because I never have to meet with them two together like that. I knew it. And sure enough, I got laid off. They literally got rid of my position. They were like, there's no need for this position. Really, we're going to just allot, some of the work functions around the department. And, so unfortunately, we're just going to get rid of your position altogether. And so that's how it happened. And I knew it. That was the biggest sign right there, is when she asked me to help her do something that I was the only one who knew how to do. That's a huge sign right there. If you weren't going to get laid off and you were going to still work there, then there would be no need for you to teach other people how to do what you do, unless I worked at this one company where they would allow some people who were specialists in a certain area to conduct trainings for the department just to help us learn more about a particular, specialties, resource. So we could just know how it works. Maybe sometimes we might do it ourselves, but just like, more educational type thing. But if you're one-on-one, if you're, meeting with somebody, one-on-one and teaching them how to do something really specific to your job, and that you really are the only person who knows how to do it. And it's like one of those things where it kind of makes the job easier, the task a lot easier, then you can probably, guess that you might be up for termination soon. It's a sucky feeling, but that's one of the biggest signs that you could possibly be getting terminated, okay? Unless there's some sort of like I said, a training that you're conducting for a group of people, and it's because you're really good at this one thing and you're a specialist in this one thing, and it's just for educational purposes. If it's not that, then you gotta question what they're planning on for your job. All right, so here's some tips, particularly with the last sign, that you can use to secure your job and the next job that you may go to, or even in your current job. So the first tip I have for you is, unless you've been asked to formally teach somebody how to do one of your job functions, like maybe one of your coworkers, and they are not in your same title, like you're saying that they don't have your same job title, if they're not doing what you're doing, and you're not asked to show them anything, try to keep your job functions to yourself. Don't share how you do things. Don't share your processes, especially if you're really good at something. Keep it to yourself. Don't even show your boss. If you have one of those types of jobs where it's very independent, you have an independent sort of work process, you're not being micromanaged a lot, just keep it to yourself, okay? That way you keep your good stuff, your good secrets to yourself, and you have leverage, over your coworkers, and they can say, hey, this person is valuable because they know how to do these things, and a lot of us didn't know how to do them, or they can do them a lot faster or a lot more efficient than we're used to. The next tip is it sounds a little bit contradictory with what I just said, but hear me out. The next tip is, if you're really good at something, really good at a specific task, like for instance, if you're really good with Excel and you're able to turn in work a lot faster than your coworkers, or that's expected of you, do not turn in your work earlier or faster than you need to. So a caveat to that is, whenever your boss gives you a task, like for instance, if it's an Excel task, like I had before with the adding social security numbers to this Excel spreadsheet, or maybe it's like an audit or of some sort that you're conducting, whatever it is, ask your boss, what's the deadline? Because sometimes bosses don't give you a deadline. They won't do that because what they're trying to do is suss out how quickly you're able to turn things over to them. So they don't want to give you a deadline because they want you to think that it's immediate. It's like it's an immediate need, so you can turn it over as quickly as possible. But for you, you need to ask, when do you need this by? Especially if you have a lot of jobs to do, like a lot of tasks, and this is just something that's kind of been put on your plate, and that's an extra thing that's added on to your typical, work schedule. Ask them, when do you need it to be turned in by? And then do not turn it in before that deadline. Turn it in exactly at that deadline. Do not, even if you're able to do it within like literally an hour, if it's something that you can turn over in like 30 minutes, but they say it's not due until 2 days from now or tomorrow at the end of the day, then give it to them tomorrow at the end of the day, okay? You can even do it right then and there, have it done, but don't give it to them. Don't give it to your boss until it's due. Because otherwise, what will happen is what happened to me, and your boss they will realize that, oh, this person is really good at this one process, better than I was able, could do it. And they're able to do it really quickly. So they're going to expect you to not only turn it in quickly, but they're going to sort of know that you know certain things that they don't know, and they may ask you to tell them. And if that's the case, and they realize they can do it on their own, and your job is not really needed, right? Because it's something that can be done really quickly. So it's kind of like one of those jobs that is like, okay, well, if they can do this, this, and this really quickly by just using formulas, then I can just get them to teach me how to do the formulas, and then I can literally fire them because I don't need them to, I can do it myself. It'll literally just take me a couple of minutes. So you want to make it seem like it's taking you longer to do your job than it really is, especially if you're really good at something. So just a little tip there, okay? At the end of the day, you don't want to shine too brightly because it could actually end up sabotaging your own job in the future. This is not really a tip, but it's more of just like a statement. So bosses, what they'll do sometimes is they'll take advantage of your skills, especially if you're really skilled at something, and sometimes they'll take credit for your work. Just remember that. Sometimes it doesn't really pay to be somebody who can overperform and be just this star employee, because a lot of the times bosses will want to take credit, unless you're the boss. If you're the boss, then shine all day. But if you're not the boss, then your boss sometimes will take credit for what you do. All right, almost like what happened with my layoff. I'm pretty sure now that I showed her the secret sauce, okay, so now she can do it and not have any errors and turn it over really quickly. She's gonna take all the credit for that. I'm not even gonna be there anymore. I've been laid off. So she can take all the credit for that, and I have no job. So again, a caveat to that is just basically, it really doesn't always pay to be an overachiever. I would even say most of the time, it does not pay to be an overachiever unless you know somebody who has a seat at the table, or you yourself have a seat at the table, okay? Unless you can call the shots and you're the boss, you're the manager, you have some sort of pull, it doesn't really pay to be an overachiever. I've seen people countless times put in so much work at their jobs, so much work. They work overtime, they work more hours. They're salaried, but they don't get paid for overtime. So they work, but they still work several hours after their time, and just putting in so much time, putting in so much energy, doing the most to try and shine, and because they're expecting something in return. When you do that, when you put in a lot of work and you put in a lot of energy so you can like look really good to your boss, a lot of the times that's because you're trying to get a raise, you're trying to get a promotion, you're trying to move up the ladder. So you put in all this work and you're expecting something in return from them because you're giving out more. So you're basically expecting a return on your investment, an investment of time and energy and all these different things, brain power. But a lot of the times you don't get anything back. In fact, you end up almost sabotaging your own self and your own career, because what will happen is if you shine too brightly and you show that you're capable of putting in all this time and energy into your job and doing like so much better than your counterparts, what will happen is if you don't get that raise, or if you don't get that promotion that you thought you were going to get at the end of the period, and they don't give it to you, you're going to think to yourself, oh, well, it's not even worth me putting in all this time and energy because I'm not going to get anything in return. And so you start to pull back. That's what's going to alert your boss to say, hey, I noticed that you're not performing the way that you used to. You're not really doing what you used to do. You're not working as late as you used to work. You know, you're not putting in as much energy and effort as you used to. I'm noticing a difference with output. You're not giving me things before the deadline anymore. Hey, I was expecting you to continue doing well and even doing better. What happened? And so all of a sudden now you have an X on your back because you changed your output. You changed your energy towards your job because you pulled back, because you didn't see a return on your investment. And what that does is that it makes you actually look worse in the eyes of your boss, even though you were putting in more than your counterparts were since the beginning. And so now you're saying, okay, well, now I'm going to put in equal to my counterparts. I'm just going to do the bare minimum, but the bare minimum no longer will be good for you because you're going to look like somebody who's a slacker because you were performing up here and now you kind of reduce that performance to here. And so now all of a sudden you look like you dropped the ball instead of you just starting out from here, baseline, and I'm not going to give you more than I need to. Okay, so that you can expect more of me, and so I don't have to worry about lowering my output or anything. I could just stay right here. You don't look like you've dropped the ball on anything. You don't look like you've gotten worse. You just look like you have more room to get better if you feel like you're going to get that return on investment, is what I'm saying. So you never want to start out here. Don't ever think that you need to be an overachiever up here, because if you don't get what you think you expect to get because you've done so well and they don't give you that raise or that promotion, okay, they don't even give you any recognition, and you feel like, dang, like what? I did all this stuff and they're not going to give me a raise, even a raise. So then you're going to be pissed. You're going to want to go down here, right? Then you're going to look worse than you looked starting out. Just know that, if you're not working at the level that you were originally working at, and the level that you were working at was all the way up here compared to your counterparts, and it's an obvious thing that you're doing so well, sometimes they don't give you the recognition that you deserve or the compensation that you deserve for that extra work that you've been doing. So especially when you start out at a job, when you start out, don't ever start out up here. Okay, because you want to suss out the situation. You want to make sure that this is a kind of company that rewards superior performance. Okay, you want to make sure that they reward their employees for doing really well and that they recognize employees for that. But don't start out that way, because if you start out up here, you have nowhere else to go. Okay, because if you go down here, they're going to notice a change and you're going to have an X on your back. So if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give me a like. If you want more videos about career tips, career advice, this is my first video on my channel kind of like this. So if you want more career tips videos, I know a lot. I've been in corporate America for so long, so many years. So I have a lot of stuff to talk about regarding this. So if you like this kind of content, show me that. Show me some love. Give me some likes. Comment on the video. Let's talk about our experiences and how, these bosses kind of screw us over sometimes. Not all bosses suck, but some of them do. And it's a hard thing to, to have to do. Like, be a boss and be responsible for somebody's job. That's a lot, So I understand that. But sometimes you get screwed over as just an employee who does not have a seat at the table. And y'all, us that don't have a seat at the table, we need to really, band together and support each other. So yeah, if you want to see more content, more career advice content, things like that, I will be happy to do some more videos. But until next time, friends, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.